When people say Sam Maher, it's not necessarily wrong. I was brought up to know it as Maher. I'm still amazed at how much sound comes out of these tiny things. Someone linked me a video of a handpan. It was Manu Delago actually, playing with Bjork. The handpan for me was like this really strange gateway to let all of these barriers go. Mm-hmm. You know, meeting homeless people on the street, meeting Aboriginals, meeting, you know, all sorts of different people on the street that were purely fascinated in the resonance of the pan.
Hello guys, we are here in the tuning show today with some Maher.
Hello.
So, your name is Maher.
It is Maher.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
I actually don't know. So I don't know whether
I don't know why my name is Maher.
I don't know whether my parents just don't know how to pronounce it properly or if that's the actual pronunciation. But I think it's Irish, so I think it should be like Maher or something. So when people say Sam Maher, it's not necessarily wrong. I was brought up to know it as Maher.
Maher.
Yeah.
Okay, now I know how it's.
But when you see the spelling, you don't think that, you know.
Yes.
So maybe I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong.
So we normally start the program talking a little bit of the past.
Yep.
Like how you connect with music even before the handpan.
I think my dad was always really into music as far as listening to music. He's not a musician. My mum also, and like my grandparents, they were always really interested in music. But I didn't grow up necessarily in a musical family. I think it was purely just from, you know, as a child living in the middle of nowhere in Australia, always going for long drives because it took ages to go anywhere. It was always about being in the car, and it was a thing to pull people together for me. So it's just always been a part of my life. But as far as playing music, it's actually thanks to my sister, who had a crush on the local drum teacher. So she forced mum and dad to buy a drum kit, and then this guy ended up leaving town, so I used to creep back there and just play drums as a child. So I don't know, it wasn't something that I learnt. It was just always naturally something that came to be.
And which age is this?
I played drums probably when I was about 11.
Okay.
But I was always like tapping on things and getting into trouble for banging and stuff. So I think I had the rhythm in me, you know.
Yes, and then you have bands. You had bands in there.
Yeah. So I started playing in bands. I mean, I'm really lucky because I came from, like, the city I live in has a really strong DIY aesthetic, and there's a lot of amazing, like a lot of punk music and a lot of psychedelic jam bands and all these sort of things. So it's always been part of my environment. Just that's how people hung out. They used to just get together, and there's just shitty instruments everywhere, and you just jam. So that was just in my early 20s and late teens. It was just a way of like meeting people and hanging out with friends. That's just what we do in where I'm from. So yeah, it's all pretty natural.
And suddenly you saw a UFO.
Yeah, I mean, I was playing, I was a drummer, that was my main instrument, and someone linked me a video of a handpan. It was Manu Delago actually, playing with Bjork on the pan. So that was my first introduction, and it kind of just became an obsession of mine. Like knowing how hard it was to get your hands on those days, and the resonance and the potential of melody. Yes. As a drummer, I was like, finally there's an instrument where you can play drums and get music out of. You know, I've had the jokes my whole life of like, oh, you're not really a musician, you're a drummer. So, you know, it was like, well, check this out.
Check this out now. Yeah.
And I mean, I finally got one after a couple of years. Like, it took me quite a while to get one. And then it was just a matter of like really realizing the weird power that the resonance of the handpan has over people. Yeah. And like most people, like I started busking with the pan, and in Australia there's a big cultural divide between the native Aboriginal people because of the traumatic, crazy history of our country that I'm not very proud of. There's a big divide between black and white Australia. Handpan for me was like this really strange gateway to let all of these barriers go. You know, meeting homeless people on the street, meeting Aboriginals, meeting, you know, all sorts of different people on the street that were purely fascinated in the resonance of the pan. That was kind of the moment where I was like, this is special. This is a special thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
And that's kind of when I started to think like maybe I should go traveling and play this thing around the world and see what happens. And it ended up being a pretty good decision.
And then when happened the travel to England, to United States, to New York?
No, I was actually mostly in South America. So, I mean, at the time that I decided to travel, I was pretty much at burnout. I think I was 23 when I left, and I was playing in 5 bands. I was working full time at a hospital. So I had like no time for myself, and I think I just reached a point where I saw the potential of this instrument and how it could connect to people. And I was like, I think I'm just gonna take this around the world with me. So I did. I sort of quit everything I was doing and then started traveling through South America, and eventually ran out of money, and that's kind of how I ended up in New York. In a subway station trying to make money, and someone came along with a camera, and that was it.
Okay,
so it's really lucky. Yeah,
there's also a funny story there with Daniel Whipples, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Shame on you, man.
Yeah, I don't want to like put shame on Dan, but it's kind of a funny story when you think about it. And actually, I'll tell the story, but it came to me really when I was playing in the living room concert, and Daniel came, and I was like, I have a story about this actually. Because I was still very new to the instrument. It was only a year since playing, and Daniel was kind of like this internet presence that every handpan player knew about, you know, and a lot of his videos were the first to go viral and all sorts. So he was living in New York at the time, so I was messaging him online just like, hey, we should catch up, I'm a pan player. He probably gets this every day those days, like, oh, another pan player trying to meet me. So we teed up a time to meet up, and I came there, I was real starry-eyed, like, I'm going to meet Daniel Whipples. And he blew me off.
Oh,
he never showed up.
Didn't show up,
Which I kind of, it's funny though that happened because
it's that video, it's exactly that video.
Exactly. So that day when I didn't see Daniel, I was like, well, I've got my handpan, I've at a subway, I'm just going to go down there and start playing. And that was the day that the guy that filmed the video took me away and filmed it. So it never would have happened without you, Dan. Thank you.
But this is an extraordinary story. You know, you tell me now that you come out from Australia, a little bit burnout, searching for something until you arrive in a moment that you have no money, and then you found it actually what you were searching for, basically.
Yeah.
And how was this for you to suddenly explode on internet? Because it's not easy for people. A lot of people burn out after that.
It really sucked, to be honest. Although, like, I was really thankful. It actually saved me from a bit of a bad place mentally, because when I returned from this trip, like, a lot of my friendship group and a lot of the artists that I was working with had sort of taken off and exploded, and I found it really hard to fall back into the lifestyle that I had. I was away for so long that I'd sort of changed my view of things. So it was really confusing there for a year or 2 years when I was back home in Australia trying to refigure out my life after such a incredible journey throughout the world. The video didn't actually arise until a year and a half after it was filmed. So it kind of just disappeared. So in that time I was in a kind of a really bad place. So the fact that I woke up one night and my phone was just going absolutely insane, and I looked at it and it was just pinging Facebook, just ding, 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 constant for 2 days or something.
Wow.
I turned it off eventually. So at first it was extremely overwhelming. Like, I saw it creep from like 1 million to 20 million on Facebook, that is, in the space of a month. And it was this constant, I just had to turn my phone off. And I think it was maybe 3 months later that I decided, okay, I'm going to log in. I'm going to slowly start going through all of these messages that I'm getting, because the handpan for me was never a thing of like, I wasn't in pursuit of anything other than the fact that I knew that I could travel with it. I knew it was a gateway to meet people, and I liked it. It was a cool thing, but I never saw it outside of that as being like, this is what I'm going to do. So all of a sudden I was in a position where it's like, I could actually do something here. It's both a blessing and a curse, because I travel around the world and I've done a lot of cool things, but at the same time people always just want to hear New York, and they just want to learn this thing. And it was a version of myself that was like, I was living in a tent for a year, you know, so I had the beard, and I feel like it represents me a little bit false, although it's pretty crazy how the internet works.
And after this moment, you have also a time when after you explode, and you have all this pressure of suddenly there is the big brother and the big eye over you.
Yeah, totally.
And then you get inside of your apartment, and you start to work with music again over the instrument. Yeah,
I mean, it really sort of saved me from this mental rut that I was in, as far as my attitude towards music was like, I think I'm done. So the video going viral really saved me from that. But at the same time, it's like a lot of the things that I was being offered and I said yes to, and I went around and did all these things, I started to realize that it's not really the world that I wanted to exist in per se. Like the creative stuff that was happening with the handpan wasn't really the sort of world that I wanted to be a part of. So there was this pressure and expectation of one side, but my personal was kind of like, it's not really the way that I want to do it. So it really inspired me to sit down and bury myself away alone and experiment with the instrument in ways that I don't think have really been done. I haven't really shown the public, I guess, this version of what I've been working on, but I guess that's my next goal, you know? Yeah. I remember even when you play here in the living room concert, living room session, I was paying attention of the name of the music and your attitude here in the stage, and then I say, well, there's something newborn in here. Yeah.
It's exactly, you were already, I had the feeling that you were already trying to going away from the image of that the New York video, and even kind of prove yourself that you are the musician that these 20 million people around the world are looking.
Yeah, I mean, it was like that night in particular, although it was a really beautiful thing to be a part of, and I've always idolized this place as kind of, for me in particular, like the birthplace of my passion of the instrument. Was kind of difficult because it was the first time that I had to play in front of like handpan community. I wasn't necessarily proud of a lot of the music that I've been making, because I think there's more potential with the handpan outside of just the pure acoustics of it. And I think that the resonance that it creates is like fascinating, the way it affects people. But I kind of, my goal as an artist or an inspiring artist is to take that resonance and turn it into something else. So to play, you know, the acoustic pieces that I've written, I was very self-conscious that night, you know, like of the fact that I was playing to these people for the first time, and there is this element of like, it's in some people's eyes, it's like a, I don't know, like handpan messiah, because I got lucky with a video that went viral. Do you know what I mean? Technically, I don't think I'm special. I approach the instrument differently. So it was very confronting, you know, like these people are just judging.
Yes, people don't understand, but when you play in a stage that's so small, with the sofas and everybody here, and it's like you said, it's directly from you are not playing for people who never saw this instrument before. It's actually you are playing for people from the community. So these stages actually scare a lot of people out, you know? And it's not easy, this intimacy that it's playing here.
I mean, I love the intimacy of it. I love intimate shows, particularly with the pan, because when it's acoustic, it's like it's meant to be felt. You always have this weird divide when you've got a PA system and you're trying to convert people to the instrument. It just doesn't translate all the time. So I loved the space, but it's an intense. I think knowing that they're all enthusiasts of the instrument and players of the instrument, that was a new thing for me. Because usually it's people coming by like, wow, what is that thing? I have no idea about this, but it's a room full of people that know it. Yeah. So it's a different dynamic.
The magic that I felt that day was that you brought musics here that it's another range of way of playing that you play in New York. So I think that you get what you want when you come back there in your house and you play with the instrument. When you came here, you were I can say you were the musician. You know, this was very cool. This concept was very nice, man.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a personal problem of mine that I work through, is this sense of constant anxiety around the handpan. And I don't know whether that comes from the viral nature of the video, possibly.
Yeah.
So as I said, it's a blessing and a curse.
Yes, we need to work that. I think this is pretty much near self-image, you know.
Totally.
And you work looking yourself, listening yourself. This is not easy.
But I mean, a lot of people talk about the pan as being a vessel of, like a lot of people pick it up for healing. You know, that's a huge part of it, and that's never been my sort of vibe. But there's something to be said about the fact that it can really make people open up. Like it does that. There's like a physical response to the resonance or something. Something biological is happening there. And I think that for me, it's like an easy way to translate musically things that I've felt without sounding cliche, but it's just something that I find easy to, like, I feel like bad, I'm going to make something that sounds sad or whatever. It's a powerful thing.
Yeah. And now you told me some time ago that you have now a kind of a new experience a little bit out of the handpan, with the drums. How was this?
Yeah. I mean, it's been nice because, like, my background is from drumming, particularly in like noise bands and really offensive sort of bands. So it's weird so it's kind of weird to play something that's so melodic and peaceful. But yeah, I mean that's kind of in my head my main thing still. And I think last year I got offered to play for an artist in Australia who's doing really well, playing big shows like thousands of people, selling out mostly in my neck of the world, but you know, she's playing in the UK and all sorts of things. And you know, a lot of the musicians that I was working with before I went traveling have now gone off, and they're doing super well. Like their bands are taking off. So I have this musical community that I had around me when I was young. It's all blossomed into this giant thing, like a global, proper music scene, which is really cool because it meant that I've had connections. And I just round up doing a tour with, her name's Meg Mac.
Okay.
Not really my sort of music, but a huge production and great crowds and just a different level of music that I've always sort of striven for. Striven? I don't know if that's a word.
I cannot correct your English.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although my English is very good, don't complain.
Great English. I understand it clearly. Yeah. So I round up doing this tour and playing in front of huge crowds, and it was just lots of fun, you know. It's and also the production level that I was exposed to was really inspiring, because now I'm thinking of ways like, how do I make the handpan exist in this world? And as far as on global sound, I think someone like Manu Delago is maybe the only one that's working at that level with the pan. So for me, it was a really cool experience.
Yeah. You have still contact with Manu, no?
Not so much anymore, but we did the video together and we were going backwards and forwards. But now it's kind of like I'm on my own pursuit. I constantly look at him and talk to him if I need to for inspiration, because
the video was here. Was the one we made here, not? Huh?
No, we did one in London.
In London.
Yeah, but I met him.
The one in the how you call this?
In the London Eye, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you met him here.
I met him here for his living room concert.
Okay.
It's when I met everyone here. That was really special. I think I was really sort of in the corner, like, oh, I'm scared of everyone. But it was a cool, like, such an incredible experience to work with Manu, because I mean, I know he exists outside of the handpan community, but the way that he approaches music is definitely, you know, in my opinion, he's like a proper musician, classically trained. He thinks outside of just the, like, is this song good or bad? Like, he's thinking more conceptual about music. And I'm really into that. And I'm a huge fan of Björk and a lot of the artists that he's worked with. So to play with drums, to play at the level where you're playing these beautiful theatres and there's thousands of people, it just really says to me, like, I need to marry these worlds together somehow. Because it was fun playing drums, but it'd be even better if I'd get there somehow with pan.
Yes.
So I guess that's kind of my next journey, I guess.
There is a son 2020 born in already.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I haven't recorded. People always ask me, like, why haven't you recorded anything? And I think it's because of this notion of, like, I don't necessarily want to release a music of just handpan music. I've never really wanted to. I think that when I'm ready to record and release something, it's going to be thought out, and there's going to be more elements. So I'm sitting back, and I know people are desperate for me to do something, but I kind of try to live it on my own terms, you know. And I think I'm just about ready to do it. So I've got studio time booked, so we'll see what happens.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So let's try some instruments.
All right.
This is me and Ethan. We are still working at home. You have been there?
No.
One day you need to come and show you the basement, because we work in the basement of a house 150 years old.
Before this place.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this was the moment. This instrument marks the transition between the Thai material and the 1.25 material. So it's very interesting that you can see, like I told you before, where the E should be in 1.0 material, the size, because the size change when you change the thickness of the material. And then Ethan worked on this instrument that he was trying to find how to build in 1.25, and every note needs to be almost 1 centimeter by each side bigger. Anyway, he finished it, but I have in my mind that he worked so much in this instrument, it was making him so pissed off that when he finished, he come to me and gave me as a present. There was a very nice present, but
piece of history.
It's a piece of history. So this instrument has around 4 years. Never have been retuned, and he's here. People come and play it, so he insists to play it because it's out of tune, you know. But shame on us, it's in a place like this, you have an instrument out of tune.
But see, I feel like people are always so they want like the perfect tuning, but I actually really like instruments that have some sort of quality that's completely new or different, because it gives it a bit more character, you know.
Yeah.
That's one of the things about the New York pan, is that if it weren't for the resonance of this hall that we were playing in, that instrument wasn't traditionally known as very good. Like it's very short sustain. That's how I developed this style of hitting really hard, because I had to pull something out of that instrument. And it's like, I feel like the unique qualities of instruments sort of make it special. Yeah. And I feel like this one's kind of special.
Yes, but I need to tell you something about how you play, and I think that this get that in your New York video, is that when you are playing, your whole body is playing, you know, and you have this swing in your body, and I think these attract the eyes of because make us move also. And this is one of the gold from you.
Well, I mean, I guess it was kind of something that happened through busking, I suppose, because it's like you sort of trance out. You start becoming like...
Yeah, you close the eyes. I see when you're playing, sometimes you really close the eyes and go on with the music. And of course, if the musician is completely connected, it's best. People feel it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I can't quite play naturally here because I've got this and I'm sort of cameras and stuff, but I guess I can play a bit of New York. Maybe I'll change it up a little bit. Who knows? Not that out of tune. What are you talking about?
It's what the instruments, when they go out of the tune for like after 4 years, they go a little bit all together.
Yeah.
So there is the tendency that sounds, if you have not yet the ear, you
Well, I'll give it a run and see how it
Let's
goes.
try. Yeah.
flavour at the end there. I don't know. There's something special about this one.
Yes, huh?
Yeah. Maybe this is the right register for the Anaziska. What did you say the ding is?
It's E, but it's
You're not happy with the tuning, are you?
yeah, it's a little bit high. Everything's a little bit high.
Yeah.
But sounds good. That's for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's very heavy.
Yes, this
Much heavier.
in this time we used to use also the bottom as 1.25.
Okay.
And then you start to use the in 1.0 to then you have not so heavy instrument.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what's traditionally the pan, like what's the thickness usually? Traditionally?
Normally it's 1.0.
1.0.
Yes, then we since this instrument we start to work with 1.25.
Yeah.
And we realized that we need to do the notes bigger, so we cannot put so many notes on it.
Yeah, okay.
But we have a very strong sustain, a long sustain, and like you said, you can play strongly, and you don't have the you call wobbling. Now we say blanc blanc. The very technical term, blanc blanc.
That sort of sound. Yeah, because I find like a lot of the nicer, the highly regarded makers and stuff, sometimes they're beautifully tuned and like I really feel good about them, but the heart, like you start going a bit harder and
the technical term is blanc blanc.
Blanc blanc.
Yeah, this is one of the first or second or third prototype from the Dubas.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
so deep.
Deeper.
This would be such a good accompaniment of just having regular pans. I was kind of thinking of a setup where you've got like chromatic set and then 2 do-buses, so you have access to all of these super low registers and all of the high over here. Like you said, it'd be like having a drum kit with like toms just surrounding you.
Yeah, this version we are trying to put also three high notes here.
Yeah, cool. Is this the one that Maher played at his concert?
Which one? Was this one? Yes.
Someone was being cheeky and was, pick one pan and I'll play it. And they picked this.
And there's some things also here.
Oh, what's that about?
This is the development of the text.
Yeah.
That started with a project with Isan and Adrian Potier. That's what we call text is more or less because the notes, when you do very high notes, even you have the very high frequency, the G6 or something like that, you can tune the octaves.
Yeah.
And the text is we say that's notes more or less that we
it's just a pure yeah, which is, it's really cool to have the, I don't often play with the super high notes because of the fact that most of the instruments that I've had that have tried to do the really high notes, I think are trying to get the octaves, and it's sort of, how do you say it?
Blum blum.
Blum blum. Blum blums, but in a higher way,
Yeah.
It's not
because then goes a little bit in the direction of the steel pan sound that actually must have that. I think when they build for, because you play with the sticks and then they do like the wobble. Yeah. And then you have this feeling of blang.
Yeah. Okay. And what's the story of this?
This is, like I said, this is a prototype, a very old one.
Just getting some percussion elements.
This was the idea with that. Actually, I think that Isan made that with the air hammer and cables, something like that.
Really?
Yes.
Sounds dangerous. This is like an instrument of extremes.
Yeah, we want to bring it back for 2020.
Yeah.
And it's something that really like to have a whole family of instruments. We're going to invite you to play them. And then we have the set that your dream set, a Mirin, also a Yukon, and one of that.
Well, I mean, like having extra dings is really cool because I love the ding of a handpan, but you only get one, you know. Well, not these days, but having an instrument that just has the low register. It's really cool, particularly with a lot of the techniques that I've been using with miking, because I've been using an octaver, so it drops the octave of every note that I hit, and you trigger it in and out, but this is just the organic way of dropping the octave, I guess.
Yes.
It's got like a very deep house kind of vibe. I'm still amazed at how much sound comes out of these tiny things. I mean, logistically, they're kind of cool. I mean, a friend of mine, his mother was really interested in the handpan, but she, they're too big for her body, you know, to wrap around and do other things. So I've told her about a RAV-sized instrument that is a handpan. I'm surprised not more people are using these because, like, what a convenient way to travel.
Yes. Born exactly the same time of this instrument. This was a conversation between me and Ethan, and we talk about like, well, the most of the people that coming back at instruments are travelers.
Yeah.
So and now we are working with a 1.25 instrument.
Yeah.
And then I say, man, let's do one small one. Let's do a small one. Let's do one. And then Ethan say, I just get this 1.25. I need to try them. Develop the 1.0 meeting. And
has it worked with the Mirim as far as like people that are travelers to want an instrument? Are they generally the people getting them?
We no, actually not. We have like it's very open, the people that get the meeting. It's not so many people. I don't know if we didn't speak much about it. We didn't put so much videos out there, so there's not so many people who come and get them. But awesome. A lot of people actually, especially the musicians that are used to playing the stage, when they see the instrument, they say, "This is very nice." And a lot of people are also they see the small instrument and they imagine that it's a toy. A lot. So I think that we don't sell it so much because of that. But when you get in your hand and you play it, and it's an instrument. The notes are coming.
Well, it sounds almost as clear and clean as,
because the fact that the instrument is not like a guitar that you need the body for have the notes. When we are tuning the instrument, they are absolutely no bottom. They are in the ring, and we know the instrument gonna be good or not by playing there in the ring. So when we close it, we have a little more bass that you get when you are punching the instrument. Because the helmet effect, it's very low. We don't have the notes that would work for that vibration in the normal handpans. And when you close it, you create the problems that we have, for example, with the B flat in the normal side, the B in the 50 centimeters.
I love that the B flat's just like this devil in the handpan world, you know, which is a shame because it's one of my favorite keys. That's why I'm always like, to fix that problem, we have 3 sides.
So when we wanna do a instrument with the B flat, we made in the 50 centimeters. Then we cannot do the B.
Yeah.
And in the case of the mirim, we would have a problem with the C.
Okay.
Yeah. So we by having these three sides, we can build any chromatic set.
Yeah, I'm still interested. Work out how to play an Amara. Because I've had the C Amara for such a long time, but I've never been able to sit with it and actually play a song other than this sort of jammy style. But I use it a lot as just for the extra notes or whatever. This one's really nice. Who made this one?
I did.
Ah, nice.
But it's nice. I also had a mirim E Amara 7 at home for a long time. As soon as I start to play the Amara 8, it's another thing. It's interesting.
Yeah, just the extra note.
You put an extra note there.
It does make a difference, yeah. Because I think mine's a 7.
Yeah. Thank you, son.
Thank you.
Very nice talk. And I hope.
We did an awkward one. Yeah. What are we doing? We slide back and forth.
So I hope you see you this year or next year here in Europe.
For sure. I'll be back. Thank you so much for popping by and listening to this interview, guys. It's a pleasure to be here. This is The Tuning Show. If you like this show, please subscribe. There's a lot of great players that come on this platform, so please tune in. Thank you and goodbye.
With me today here, Hagai Sofer. Ciao, man. Welcome.
percussions. I collected percussions from all over the world.
Thank you so much for coming by, guys. It's a pleasure that you're watching this video. It's like when you start thinking about it, it's done. Please tune in next time. You can't laugh. You can't laugh when I finish.